What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a cool minute. Honestly, I was not even planning on covering UFC 301. I was super disappointed in the judging that night and how the main event played out. But you know what? I think I should give you guys my opinion ultimately. Show you guys how I did on the card. Just put that up on the screen right now. 10-2 on the entire card. In reality, I feel like it was 11-1 if we're going to be real with ourselves. The only fight I genuinely just fully predicted incorrectly was Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. I should have known that Anthony Smith always shines in these moments. He's like the #1 gatekeeper of the UFC. I should have known. I should have expected him to first round guillotine a Brazilian, an undefeated prospect, a freak of nature, built like an action figure Brazilian, undefeated in his hometown. I should have expected Anthony Smith the first round guillotine him when he doesn't have a guillotine on his whole fucking career. But you know what? That is just the name of the game. I'm not mad at it. It ruined my full card, which sucks. I'm always looking for that. But overall, I did really solid on the card. I can't be mad. I'm like I usually say in my pay-per-views, you guys should probably try to follow along to what I'm saying, because a lot of the time I get these pay-per-view fights correct. Sometimes Dana just gives us a layup. I'm not going to lie to you. This week was definitely a layup card. A lot of fighters were set up to do good and win in Brazil. But let's just start with the champion, the Brazilian champion. First fight, the last fight of the night. First fight we're going to be talking about. Alejandro Pantoja defeating Steve Erceg by unanimous decision. Every judge gives Pantoja a majority of the rounds, which, I can't tell at this point if it's like corruption, like they know what they're doing and they look to see, okay, if this fighter can't get a finish, we're just going to give him a decision, a unanimous decision, or an XYZ. I don't know how this shit works, because when I see stuff like this, it blows my mind. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Steve Erceg, and maybe this is a crazy take, I thought he won rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think rounds 4 and 5 were a bit closer because of Alejandro Pantoja's ability to get it to the ground. And I also just want to say this now. Although I do think Steve Erceg won, although I predicted him to win, and although I think there's some fuckery afoot, I still am impressed with Alejandro Pantoja's his grit. I'm impressed with how he fought. I'm impressed with how he's just a fucking Terminator. Like, he'll walk you down with his hands down sometimes and just swing from the hip and, eventually try to get a hold of you. I respect that. I respect that he's like one of the tiniest flyweights in the whole division, and he's the champion. I respect a lot about this man. But he lost that fight. The whole criteria is based on damage. All of the criteria comes down to damage done. Steve Erceg did the most damage. He split him open twice in 2 different spots with elbows. Clean elbows on the feet. He landed the better shots on the feet. He landed the more damaging shots. He didn't land more of them by the numbers. Barely he didn't land more of them. And honestly, if you go back and watch it, most of what Alejandro Pantoja lands is like slapping hooks, pushing jabs. He's not really landing much of shit. Landing with his forearm. Just go back and watch the fight for yourself if you truly believe Pantoja won and you're actually like a truth seeker. If not, and you're just happy that Steve lost, then yeah, it is what it is. On paper, Steve lost. But overall, it didn't look like a number 10 guy fighting a number 1, or a champion. It looked like a number 1 versus a number 2. I really want to see the fight again. I know we're not going to. This is like a one and done type of thing. I think the UFC saw that, okay, it's 300 just passed. We're in a new era. Fuck it. Let's give this number 10 guy who only has 3 fights in the promotion a chance. I don't think that's going to happen again. Also, sorry if I sound continuously more congested. I have the worst spring allergies known to man. It's a big part of why I haven't even tried to record this week. Like, my eyes are still all destroyed from them. It's terrible. I feel like I can't talk or breathe, but as long as y'all can hear me fine, we're chilling. Moving down the card. Jose Aldo comes out of retirement, puts a beating on Jonathan Martinez. Most people were picking Jonathan Martinez, not this guy. Plus money on Aldo all day. I said it in my early prediction. If you want to look at my TikTok, or if you want to look at my shorts here on YouTube, I said from day one, Jose Aldo is going to embarrass Jonathan Martinez, who's on a streak, who looks like he's one of the next bantamweight contenders. Jose is just too polished. If you're going to try to make it a kickboxing war with Jose, you got to be somebody like Jan, or, the likes of some other type of fighter, not Jonathan Martinez. And we saw exactly that. Jose clearly won every round. And after like the 3rd minute of the first round, he just started to gradually build so much faster and pick up steam and just snowball on Jonathan Martinez. Started to land his body shots, rocked him with a knee to the head standing at one point, rocked him with a hook. Jose looked crisp. I hope that he stays fighting. They rank this man like top 8, which is so disrespectful. He has like 5 wins in the top 15 at bantamweight, which isn't even his home weight class. Bro, the rankings that came out this weekend also added to why I didn't want to make this video. That shit pissed me off. Steve Erceg gets number 9. He moves up 1 spot after damn near, honestly, genuinely beating the champion. Like, craziness, but good shit for Jose Aldo. Sorry for Jonathan Martinez, but this isn't the worst fighter to lose to, bro. It's Jose Aldo. It's the fucking GOAT. Moving down the card. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. Anthony Smith lashes up a guillotine in the first round, while Vitor's trying to like shoot a heavy, not a blast double, but you could tell he's like trying to lift him with the double and slam him. So what does Vitor do? He slams himself fully into Anthony's choke to make it even tighter, even quicker, and taps immediately. Anthony Smith gets up all giddy and happy looking because now he's going to get a fucking another main event at an Apex card that's going to be quite shit later in the year, and people are still going to talk about him like he has any relevance. No offense, dude, I'm just going to be real. You're still trash. You have veteran skills. Don't get me wrong. You're going to be able to do this to people like Vitor. But once you fight another person like Alexander Rakic or another person up the rankings, I bet if he even fought somebody like, gosh, who's the guy that beat Bogdan in his debut? Volkan Oezdemir. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Volkan Oezdemir absolutely obliterated Anthony Smith. He doesn't show me anything these days to be impressed by. I can't hate on his guillotine, but genuinely, I don't think he's going anywhere in his career. We're just going to have another main event shoved down our throat for him. And then we move down the card. Michel Pereira taking on Ihor Peteria, or I already took him on. First round obliteration in under a minute. It's what I predicted. It's what most of you probably predicted. He needs to start fighting up the rankings. It doesn't make sense that you're on like a 7-8 fight win streak and you're fighting the likes of Ihor Peteria, who can only get a win over an old Shogun. Come on. He looked amazing. Landed a backflip that like carried an illegal knee with it. Who cares? It didn't do that much damage. Low-key, he also hit Ihor's knee to his face when he landed. So you could argue that he probably had more damage done to him, or at least equal damage from that knee. It wasn't a big deal. It didn't affect anything. Ihor tries to stand up from the exchange after being kind of dropped onto the ground and gets put away by a standing guillotine. And it's like a nice one too, where like after the ref stops it, he's still out and he falls backwards. Like that's going to be able to be on Michelle's highlight reel forever. Solid win. Moving down the card, Kyle Braulio defeated Paul Craig. Second round knockout. It should have been first round in like the first 2 minutes. Paul holds his chin up like this stoically when he's moving backwards. What the fuck are you doing, brother? Paul Craig, this is why I can't bet on him against anybody that is even remotely intelligent, has even a little bit of fight IQ, because there's so many holes in Paul's game. You literally have to feed him wins by like finding your way to the ground with him, or like taking him down after winning the whole fight, like some fighters do. It's just craziness to me. But yeah, Kyle Braulio gets it done, improves to 16-1. He's like 6-0 in the UFC now. He's gonna get a big fight moving on, and I'm not mad at it. He's like one of the only middleweight prospects that I think is half decent, and he has some really slick grappling, so I'm not mad at it. Then we have the prelim headliner, Joe Anderson Brito and Jack Shore. I'm not gonna talk about too many of the prelims. I don't want to bore you guys, and I'm honestly tired of talking with the congested ass nose. I'm just going to talk about the standouts. Joe Anderson Brito pieces up Jack Shore. He was actually obliterating him in the first round, but Jack was trying to make it competitive in the clinch. And then Brito just starts chopping that leg bad in the second. Cuts open his shin. It's really not that bad of a cut. I saw from Jack's coach after the fact on Instagram that the cut was like not shit at all. It was a really weird stoppage. The doctor like fingered the cut, and that just seemed like malpractice. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Who am I to say anything? Just seemed a little odd. You know, I've never seen that before. And they end up stopping the fight. So Jack Shore improves, or he goes down to 17-2. Joe Anderson Brito improves to 17-3. He's on a hell of a streak. Finishing somebody like Jack Shore, not easy to do. Despite the fact that it's not a real finish, I don't think Jack was going to pull away anyways. We were already like halfway through the second round, and Joe Anderson was clearly winning the whole fight. He was just starting to really peel away because of those leg kicks. I think Jack Shore just needs to go back to bantamweight. He's not a featherweight. What is another standout fight? Medibek Orlby defeats Elvis Brenner. This one kind of hurt me because Elvis Brenner was my 2023 prospect of the year. I slightly had him over Diego Lopez. I felt like he was going to prove to be more in this sport. I now kind of have flipped. I think Diego Lopez is proving to be a freak of nature. And Elvis Brenner, despite being a dog and having some of the most heart I've ever seen in a fighter, finding ways to reverse positions on Medibek Orlby on the ground and get dominant position, he just it's like he forgot how to strike after getting hit one time on the feet and then having takedowns mixed in. He just looked like a fish out of water. Mediabek was cracking him bad on the feet, where Alves should have been the one that would be doing better of the two on the feet. And then Mediabek would take him down to the ground, bully him. I thought he'd be able to submit him, potentially. But I always counted on Alves being tough. So a decision makes sense. I think that's what I prompted for on verdict. Good shit, Mediabek oral by. Another fight that we need to talk about, Mauricio Rufy taking on Jamie Mullarkey. This guy is one of the most exciting prospects, bar none, barring any country, barring anything. One of the most exciting prospects to come out of the sport. He had just an absolute demolition of Jamie Mullarkey, a full 4 minutes and 40 seconds of just beat down. On the feet, on the ground, everywhere, just whooped him, ends up finishing the fight with a flying knee into punches. Super crisp striker, kind of reminds me of Conor McGregor on the feet, the way he moves and the way he holds himself. He looks like he's decent on the ground. He had like a nice little leg scissor sweep, which we haven't seen too many times. It's really nice when we watch somebody pull something like that off. Overall, great debut. Taking on somebody like Jamie Mullarkey, who's tough and could get the upset win on you. You know, he's one of those types of fighters. He pulls that stuff off regularly. Just overall great win. I'm excited to see this guy. I hope they just throw him right back onto another card pretty quickly. And then the last fight we're going to talk about, Alessandro Costa and Kevin Borjas. I was going to speak about Ismael Bonfim, but you can't even get rid of Vince Pichel when he's like 80 years old. That's craziness. Yeah, we're not even talking about you today. Alessandro Costa, though, UTKO, a flyweight prospect who looks good in his own right. We had some question marks about him. And, you know, you just kind of obliterate him, blitz him. How most of us predicted Alessandro Costa, he gets it done. He's just physically more imposing. He's more fast twitch muscle fibers. He was just more about it, and he had Brazil behind him. So I think that was a little bit OP. Alessandro Costa gets it done, and I think that's pretty cool because the first fight of the night, last fight of the night, had two fighters that have fought each other before, Erceg and Costa, not that long ago. Both prospects at the time that they fight each other. Costa shows that he still got it in him. Erceg shows that he damn near should be the champion. So I think these two flyweights are quite underrated. Definitely should keep an eye out for them moving forward. I'm ready to stop having a stroke on camera now. So that's going to be all for my my breakdown of UFC 301. I know probably none of you give a fuck now because it's like days later. And I'm literally about to post my predictions video for this weekend's card. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what you thought below. If you thought Erceg won, if you think I'm capping and it's clear who I bet on and Alessandro won, then let me know down below. But that'll be all from me. I'm going to catch you guys.